Hey guys, Mr. Farmer here. Today we're going to be going through Chapter 4 of AutoCAD Instructor. Chapter 4 deals with selection sets. The objectives for Chapter 4, number 1, know that modify commands and many other commands require you to select objects. Number 2, be able to create a selection set using each of the specification methods. Number 3, be able to erase objects from the drawing. Number 4, be able to move and copy objects from one location to another. And number 5, understand noun, verb, and verb-noun order of common syntax. So let's get started here. You'll notice up in the upper left-hand corner, there's two blocks in your ribbon here. One is the draw commands right here, and the other is the modify commands. Let's talk about what that means. Draw commands create new objects. Modify commands change existing objects or use existing objects to create new ones. Quick note on the modify commands. Since all of the modify commands use or modify existing objects, you must first select the objects that you want to act on. So when you modify something, there's a couple of different ways to do this. There's verb-noun syntax, and then there's noun-verb syntax. Noun-verb syntax just means that you're going to select the item first and then specify the action secondly. And then the reverse of that is verb-noun syntax. So you specify the action, like move, and then you specify the item, like the circle that you've sketched. And we'll get into that here in just a second. For now, let's start with the draw commands. So in AutoCAD, they've got this neat functionality. I call it hover to discover. If you don't know what something is or what something does, you can just hover your mouse icon over the tool and it'll pop up with a brief explanation and sometimes an example or an illustration of what it does. So some of these are basic, like line or circle or arc, but polyline might not be so easy to understand. So if I just hover my mouse over there, I get this description, and then I also get like an illustration, and it tells you all this does, right? Or you might come down to this right here, this little hatch tool. You don't know what that does. So if you just hover your mouse over it, it'll give you an illustration and a definition. It's really handy. Hover to discover. Okay. Let's draw some stuff. I'm going to choose circle. I can draw a circle. Choose rectangle. I can draw a rectangle. All right, I'll use this line tool. Excuse me. I'll use this line tool, maybe, to draw maybe a triangle there, or maybe a line right here. These are the draw commands, right? And there's all kinds of things you can do down here. There's some really complex drawings that you can use. Right next to that is the modify commands. Modify. Oh, I forgot to mention, in case you haven't seen this by now, you can type commands. So if for whatever reason you don't want to go up here and click circle, you can type circle in the commands, hit enter, and you can draw a circle. Next to the draw commands are the modify commands. So we've got move, copy, stretch, rotate, mirror, scale, trim, fillet, array, and then all kinds of other stuff you can do here. The ones we're talking about today are move, copy, and erase. Yes, move, copy, and erase. So there's move, copy, and then erase looks like the little pencil eraser right there. So back to the verb-noun selection. For these illustrations, I'm going to select the verb first. So I'm going to click the action first, and then we're going to select the item after that. And it'll prompt me to select an object. So for example, let's start with move. We'll use move as the tool. So I'm going to select move, right? Move, and then it says move, select objects. So now I have to create a selection set. I have to tell it what I'm going to move. It's looking for the noun. Move is the verb, and now it's looking for the noun. So this selection set, there's a lot of different ways I can do this. I can just click an item, right, and hit enter, and then it's ready to move. That's one method. Let's go move, select objects. The other thing I can do is use a window, so I can click once and draw a window around it. Hit enter. Object is selected. I can move it, right? Another option is a lasso, so move, select objects. I can hold down my mouse cursor now and draw this like freeform lasso around it, and that'll select the object, right? Hit enter, and boom, we can move, right? These are all different things you can use. There's also crossing window, window polygon, crossing polygon, fence tool. There's a lot of different things you can use. So just a brief description of these for selection sets. Window, the window option. Only objects completely within the window are selected, not objects that cross through or on the outside of the window. So for example, if I click move, select objects. By the way, you can type in a letter here. I'll type in W for window. Ooh. W, enter. That is window, right? So this is window. It's only going to select what's inside the window. I can select multiple things, right? Let's say I select the circle and the line, but not anything else. So these two things are selected. If I hit enter, they're going to move together, but nothing else is going to move on the drawing, right? There's also crossing window. So move, select objects. I'm going to say CW for crossing window, right? So a crossing window, all objects within and crossing through a crossing window are selected. So I'll draw this, and let's say I go halfway through this triangle here. It's going to select the portion that crossed through there, right? So now if I move, it's going to move part of that triangle as well, okay? Window polygon, it's a move tool, select objects. I can say WP, WP for window polygon, and now I've got this thing where I can put as many sides as I want around it, right? And it'll select that object. So this is handy if I wanted to kind of sneak around and select a few different objects. For example, move, select objects. Let's do window polygon. I can kind of draw a polygon around these two things and exclude that circle, right? And I can select the triangle and the square. Okay, window polygon, only objects completely within the window are selected, but the box can be any irregular polygon shape. There's also crossing polygon. Objects within and crossing through the crossing polygon are selected. And there's also a fence tool. A fence is just a straight line, and anything that crosses through the fence is selected. So I use this move command. It says select objects, F for fence, and then any objects crossing through this fence are selected. So here's my fence, right? I can just draw it like this, and any objects that go through that fence are selected. That's the fence tool, right? Okay, a couple of other things. The all command, this option selects all objects in the drawing except those on frozen or locked layers. So not everything. It doesn't do anything on a frozen or locked layer, but everything else it will. So if I go to move objects, I can say all, and it selects all of the objects that are not on frozen layers. Okay, that's the all command. There's a few other commands such as last, previous, box, multiple, single, undo, remove, and add. We'll go through those later. And then if you want to remove objects from the selection set, you can use the Shift plus the left click button. Holding down the Shift key and pressing the left mouse button simultaneously removes objects selected from the highlighted set. So for example, let's say we're going to use the move command. I'm going to select all objects, right? But I don't want this triangle in here. So I can hold down the Shift key and then click on these lines, and it will remove them from the selection set. So now when I move, I'm going to hit enter. Now when I move, everything moves except what I excluded. Okay? Let's see here. I don't know if we talked about lasso. Yeah, let's talk about lasso. Move command, select objects. If I just click and hold the mouse button, there's a lasso tool, right, to select what I want. And then you can move these things. There's also a crossing lasso and a fence lasso. that have the same definitions as the window, crossing window, and fence. Okay, pick first. Pick first, if you type that down here, pick first. There's two values that this can be, 0 and 1. The pick first variable enables the noun verb syntax that we talked about earlier. The default setting is 1, so you can see right here the default setting is 1. If it's set to 0, noun verb syntax is disabled, and the selection set can be specified only within the editing commands, verb noun. Setting it to 1, which is the default option, provides both options. So I can do noun verb or I can do verb noun. So I think we've been using verb noun. I've been saying move and then select the object, right? I can also select an object first. So I'll just I'll window around this, right? I've selected that object and now I can select move, right? And it'll move it. So that is noun verb. Okay, erase command. Let's talk about erase command. This is a modify. It's the pencil eraser, right? How am I doing on time? Good. Erase command. Let's do verb noun syntax. Erase. It's going to say select objects. I don't know. Let's use a window. W, right? So I'm going to erase this circle. Click, enter, and it's gone. It's vanished. Erase command, right? We've talked about the move command extensively. And there's also copy. So let's say I want to copy this circle. I don't want to sketch a new one. I want to copy this one. I'll select copy, select this item, hit enter, and then select a base point for the new one. I'll put it right there. Good. That's copied that circle, so it has the exact same diameter, the exact same parameters as the first one. So just to recap, there's draw commands that creates new things. There's modify commands that modifies things, of course. Hover to discover. Hover your mouse over something, it'll give you a brief explanation. There's verb noun syntax and noun verb syntax. It just has to do with the order that you're doing things. You can use shortcuts, you can type in commands, or you can use the tools in the toolbar, whatever works for you. And then the modify commands that we talked about today are move, moving an object, copying an object, making a duplicate, and erasing an object. I think that's it for Chapter 4. There's a quiz you need to take. If you have questions, feel free to email me, and thanks for watching.